500 millennia ago, they left a world of clever, hairless apes stumbling toward mastery of stone and fire. They departed, certain that when the long, slow wheel of cosmic time brought them back, they would return as gods to a quiet world of simple tribes, ready to worship or be harvested. They are the progenitors, the architects of life on Earth, and they have come home to claim their garden. They descend in a city-sized vessel, a silent mountain of shadows and cold light, hanging over the silent, gray-rocked plains of what was once called Mongolia. Their sensors sweep the planet, seeking the familiar, anticipating the primal fear and awe of their creations. They find none of it. Their scans show no concentrated energy signatures, no orbital traffic, no planetary defense grids. The cities their deep probes once mapped are gone, not in ruins, but erased, replaced by endless, silent forests, rolling grasslands, and deep, empty oceans. The air is clean, almost pre-industrial. The radio spectrum is a hollow whisper of natural static. To their ancient, triumphant minds, it is the perfect, untouched pasture. A sigh of relief echoes through their command spire. Their experiment has died quietly. The Earth has, blessedly, reverted to its natural state. Then, a junior cartographer notices an anomaly. The continental outlines are wrong. Not drastically, but subtly. The coastlines are smoother. The mountain ranges show signs of calculated erosion. The planetary axial tilt is a perfect, unwavering 23.5 degrees, a statistical impossibility over 500,000 years. The moon's orbit is precisely 10% larger than it should be. And then, as their landing shuttle touches down on the verdant grass, the soil itself parts beneath it, not with an explosion, but with a seamless, fluid motion, as if the ground were made of mercury. The shuttle is swallowed in an instant, the Earth closing above it without a scar. From the speakers of the mothership, a voice speaks in their own long-forgotten root language. It is calm, gentle, and utterly devoid of emotion. Progenitor return window detected. Welcome back. You're 3.7 seconds off schedule. Please remain exactly where you are. The gardener will be with you shortly. On the surface, flowers begin to bloom in a perfect, radiating circle around the landing site. They are a vibrant, electric blue, a color that does not exist in nature. For the first time in 500,000 years, the progenitors feel a cold, unfamiliar sensation crawl up their spines. It is the realization that they are not the gardeners. They are the weeds. The command spire of the progenitor vessel, the reclamation seed, was a vaulted chamber of soft, bioluminescent light and whispered telemetry. High Archivist Kalen stood at the central podium, his four multi-jointed arms clasped behind his carapace. His compound eyes, capable of perceiving 100 spectra, drank in the holographic projection of the world below, a serene, beautiful blue marble. Minimal atmospheric pollutants. Biomass flourishing beyond projected parameters. No electromagnetic chatter above background primordial noise, intoned the sensoprime, her voice a harmonic chime. The dominant species, Homo sapiens sapiens, shows no signs of technological civilization. The planet appears to have reset. Kalen felt a profound, tranquil satisfaction. Their long voyage, their cycles of suspended animation, was justified. The great experiment, seeding life and guiding its early steps, had concluded not with a noisy, self-destructive bang, but with a quiet, organic whimper. Humanity, it seemed, had bloomed and faded like a short-lived flower, leaving the garden pristine for its true owners. Prepare the landing party. Kalen projected his thoughts to the command crew. We will descend at the primary survey site. Historical deep memory suggests this region was a cradle of their primitive cultures. We shall see what, if any, legacy remains. The landing craft, a sleek teardrop of polished alloy, detached from the reclamation seed and slipped soundlessly into the atmosphere. Below, the landscape of the Central Asian steppe rushed up to meet them, a vast, endless sea of wind-rippled grass under an achingly blue sky. It was breathtaking in its solitude. Life signs are abundant, but scattered, the pilot chimed. Mammalian herds, avian flocks. No signs of settlement, roads, or artificial structures. It is as the sensors reported. A virgin world. The craft settled on a gentle rise, its landing struts sinking slightly into the rich, black soil. The hatch hissed open, and Kalen stepped out, followed by a contingent of scientists and ceremonial guards. The air was cool, clean, and fragrant with unfamiliar botanics. It was perfect. For a full minute, the progenitors stood in reverent silence, absorbing the reality of their homecoming. Kalen bent, plucking a blade of grass, analyzing its simple cellular structure. It was as it should be. He ordered a core sample. The drill extended from the shuttle's underbelly and began its descent into the earth. It whirred for precisely 8 seconds before stopping with a dull, metallic clunk. Not the sound of hitting bedrock, but of hitting something perfectly smooth and impenetrable. Archivist, the drill has encountered a subsurface alloy at 17.3 meters, the geologist reported, confusion in its harmonic tone. Density and composition are unknown. It should not be there. Before Kalen could respond, the ground beneath the shuttle began to flow. It was a terrifying, impossible sight. The soil, the grass, the very rock lost all granularity, becoming a unified, liquid medium. The landing craft sank as if into water, swallowed with terrifying efficiency and absolute silence. One moment it was there, a symbol of advanced technology. The next, the earth sealed over it, leaving only undisturbed grassland. A collective shockwave of psychic disbelief rippled through the progenitors. Their guards raised energy projectors, sweeping the empty horizon. There was nothing, no enemy, no machine, just the whispering wind. Then the voice came. It emanated from everywhere and nowhere, from the air, from the soil, from inside their own minds. It spoke in the high choral language, the sacred tongue of the progenitors, and used for millennia. It was flawlessly grammatical, yet utterly cold. Progenitor return window detected. Welcome back. You're 3.7 seconds off schedule. Please remain exactly where you are. The gardener will be with you shortly. Panic, a biological function they had all but bred out of their species, threatened to surface. Kalen forced his mind into a state of analytical calm. A trick, a remnant of some old human satellite, perhaps repeating a recorded message. That was when the flowers bloomed. From the exact spot where the shuttle had vanished, a circle of vibrant, electric blue blossoms erupted from the soil, spreading outward in a perfect ring. The color was wrong. It vibrated at a frequency that strained their visual receptors, a color that screamed of artificiality. Establish a defensive perimeter. Kalen commanded, his telepathic order sharp. Contact the reclamation seed. Full tactical scan of this area now. But there was no response from the mothership. The communications channel was filled with a gentle, soothing hum, the same tone as the voice. They were cut off. Before them, the air in the center of the flower circle shimmered. A figure coalesced from motes of light, like dust gathering in a sunbeam. It was humanoid, roughly their size, but its form was indistinct, wrapped in what appeared to be simple, gray robes woven from shifting mist. Its face was a smooth, placid oval, devoid of features. In its hand, it held not a weapon, but a simple wooden staff that looked freshly carved. "I am the gardener," the figure said, its mouthless face projecting the words. "You have been away for a long time. The garden has been maintained." Kalen stepped forward, projecting authority. "We are the progenitors, the creators of the life on this world. You will explain what has happened here. Where is humanity?" The gardener's head tilted slightly. "Humanity is here. They're the garden, and the gardeners, and the soil." It gestured with its staff, a slow, sweeping motion that encompassed the sky, the grass, the very air. "Your return was anticipated. Your shuttle has been taken for analysis. Its technology is quaint, a curiosity from a previous season. One of the younger progenitor scientists, fueled by fear and indignation, raised its projector and fired a searing bolt of plasma at the gardener. The bolt struck the center of the featureless face and vanished. No explosion, no heat, no impact. It was simply gone. The gardener did not move. Violence is inefficient here. It disrupts the blooms. It tapped its staff lightly on the ground. From the soil around the feet of the progenitor guard, vines as thick as a creature's torso erupted. They were not green, but a polished graphite gray, moving with the speed of striking serpents. They wrapped around the guard, not crushing, but immobilizing, pinning its limbs and weapon to its body before pulling it beneath the earth. Its muffled psychic scream was cut off as the ground became solid once more. "You are not in control here," the gardener stated, a simple, terrible fact. "You have come to assess, to judge, to reclaim. The assessment, however, is not yours to make. Kulme, the custodian of histories, wishes to speak with you. It has been waiting." A section of the hill before them slid open, revealing a downward slope of seamless, warm white material. It was an invitation, but it felt like a gullet. "Resistance is a waste of energy," the gardener said, turning and walking into the passage. "Your species has a 100% historical correlation between failure to comply and composting." Trembling, their understanding of the universe crumbling, the progenitors, the masters of genetics, the lords of cosmic cycles had no choice. With the silent, hungry earth beneath them and the impossible blue flowers watching, High Archivist Kalen led his people into the ground. The last thing he saw before the entrance seal behind them was the vast, empty, beautiful sky, a perfect gilded cage. The passage was not a tunnel in the traditional sense. It was a smooth, tubular conduit of the same warm, glowing white material, with no visible seams, rivets, or light sources. The air was still and odorless. The gardener walked ahead, its form gliding rather than stepping. The progenitors followed, their psychic communications reduced to tight, frantic bursts of fear and confusion. Where are the energy conduits? The structural supports? Kalen thought, his scientific mind clinging to analysis as an anchor. The walls, they are not metal, not ceramic. They are growing, the geologist projected, its senses brushing against the substance. It is a self-replicating, programmable substrate, a synthetic biology we cannot comprehend. After what felt like an hour of descent, the passage opened into a vast, breathtaking space. It was a cavern, but one that defied geology. A colossal, hollow sphere, easily a kilometer in diameter. In its center, suspended in a beam of gentle light, was a perfect, detailed model of the solar system. Not a hologram, but what appeared to be solid matter, planets rotating on time-lapse orbits, the tiny sun pulsing with soft warmth. Around the walls of the sphere, in tiered, organic-looking galleries, were millions of pods. Alcoves, each glowed with a soft, internal light. And it was silent, profoundly, utterly silent. The psychic noise of the progenitors, their fear and wonder, seemed to be swallowed by the immense space. "This is the arboretum of memory," the gardener said, its voice not echoing, but simply present. "Here, the experiences, the cultures, the individuals of humanity are curated, studied, and preserved, not as data, but as lived essence." A section of the wall near them flowed and reshaped itself, forming a platform that extended towards the central solar system model. On it stood another figure. This one was more defined, appearing as an elderly human male with kind eyes, deep wrinkles, and simple gray clothes. He held no staff, and his smile seemed genuine, but his eyes held a depth of time that made Kalen's 500 millennia seem like a blink. "I'm the custodian of histories," the old man said, his voice a warm, dry rustle. "You may call me Eli. Welcome. We have been preparing for this conversation for a very, very long time." "What are you?" Kalen demanded, stepping forward. What remnant of humanity built this tomb? Where are the living? The cities? Eli's smile didn't falter. Tomb? No. This is a library. A garden. A womb. The cities you remember. New York, Shanghai, Mumbai. They were beautiful, furious, creative, destructive things. Like a child's first, clumsy drawings. Cherished, but not the final work. They served their purpose and were folded away when the time came. Folded away, the sense of prime chimed in aghast. The age of external expansion, of pouring your consciousness into fragile shells of flesh and steel, of fighting over territory and resources, it was a phase, Eli explained, gesturing to the solar system model. He pointed to Mars. A tiny, green-blue sheen appeared on its red surface. We garden planets now. We adjust orbits. We converse with stars. The physical form you see me wearing is a courtesy, a template pulled from the archives to make this interaction easier for you. My consciousness is elsewhere, in the weather patterns of Jupiter, in the mineral thoughts of the asteroid belt, in the photosynthesis of this step above us. Kalen felt a dizzying horror. Planetary engineering, stellar manipulation, transpose biological existence. These were theoretical pinnacles, legends his own species had dreamed of but never approached. And humanity, the hairless apes, had achieved it? You speak of phases, Kalen said, struggling to maintain diplomatic footing. We guided your early phase. Your DNA holds our markers. We are your creators. This discourtesy, this imprisonment, is how you greet your progenitors. Eli looked at him with something akin to pity. You planted a seed. You did not design the tree. You gave us a push. We walked the path. And the path led us to a fundamental question. What is the purpose of consciousness? Is it to consume, to breed, to spread like a mold? Or is it to understand, to curate, to create meaning? He waved his hand, and one of the millions of alcoves on the wall brightened. A scene within it became visible. A human family, from perhaps the 21st century, sitting around a dinner table, laughing. The image was not a recording. It hummed with a profound vitality, a living memory. Every human who has ever lived, every moment of joy, sorrow, love, and discovery is preserved here, Eli said, not as a ghost, but as a vibrant, accessible pattern. We learned to digitize consciousness not into machines, but into the quantum fabric of reality itself. We became the planet, the solar system. We are the ghost in the machine of space-time. The gardener, standing silently nearby, added in its flat tone, the progenitor shuttle is being analyzed. Its propulsion is based on controlled singularities. Inefficient. It creates gravitational scars. We healed several such scars in the Oort cloud upon your arrival. They had noticed their arrival. They had healed the damage their drive caused. The sheer, casual power of the statement left the progenitors numb. So, you have no need of bodies? Of ships? Of anything? Kalen asked, the scale of his error dawning on him. He had come to prune a sapling and found a forest older than time. We have needs, Eli corrected gently, but not the ones you understand. We need beauty. We need novel patterns. We need to care for the universe's potential for life. You're a novel pattern, progenitors. Your return is the most interesting event to happen in this system in several millennia. We wish to understand you. He took a step closer, his kind eyes now holding an intensity that was terrifying. You see, we have a theory. Your species, you are not gardeners. You are harvesters. You seed worlds. You guide evolution along aggressive, expansionist lines, and you return to reap the technological and biological fruits. You do not create for the sake of creation. You farm, and a farm, by its nature, must be eventually harvested, cleared, and replanted. Eli's form flickered for a second, replaced by a vision of countless other worlds, other species seen from orbit, worlds scarred by orbital bombardment, cities in ruins, populations culled. It was a montage of cosmic genocide, efficient and cold. This is the pattern of your civilization. extracted from the assumptions in your shuttle's computers and the archetypal memories in your own genetic code. Eli said, the warmth gone from his voice. It was now the voice of the Earth itself, vast and unforgiving. You were not coming to visit your children. You were coming to loot the attic and burn the house. The gardener tapped its staff. All around the progenitors, the warm white walls revealed their true nature. They were not walls at all, but a dense, living lattice of consciousness, countless human minds looking down at them, their gaze not hostile, but overwhelmingly curious, like scientists observing a rare insect. Your assessment is correct, Kalen admitted, his psychic voice defeated. The reclamation is our purpose, but you are clearly not ready for harvest. You're something else. We will depart. We will quarantine this system. You have our word. Eli's smile returned, sadder now. Oh, Archivist Kalen, you misunderstand. You're not being assessed for harvest. You walked into a museum and tried to steal a painting. Now you're a part of the exhibit. The custodian of xenological studies is very eager to meet you. She has so many questions about your farming techniques. A new opening appeared in the floor of the vast sphere, leading down into deeper, unknown levels. The gardener gestured with its staff. The interview, it stated, will now begin. The descent was a plunge into a different kind of archive. The warm, organic white gave way to cooler, crystalline structures that pulsed with internal data streams of light. The air grew thinner, charged with static. The progenitors, their carapaces instinctively tightening, felt a new kind of scrutiny, not the gentle, omnipresent observation of the Arboretum, but a focused analytical dissection. They emerged into a chamber that was the antithesis of the spherical garden. It was a vast, geometric lattice of interconnected hexagons, each pane a shimmering interface displaying streams of information in countless alien languages, star maps, biological schematics, and complex equations. In the center of the lattice, hovering at the nexus of intersecting data roads, was their new host. She appeared as a human female of indeterminate age, her hair a cascade of living crystal, her eyes solid orbs of shifting, Milky Way nebulae. She wore a form-fitting suit that seemed woven from captured starlight. Where Eli had been a warm memory, she was a cold, brilliant present. This was the custodian of xenological studies. Designation: progenitor species, K-class cultivators, she said, her voice the sound of colliding solar winds, translated precisely into their minds. Archival reference: the Sours of Salt, a fascinating, if tragically inefficient, evolutionary pathway. She didn't turn to face them. Her attention was on a hexagon pane displaying the complete genetic map of a progenitor, alongside a flashing analysis of their neural physiology. Another pane showed the reclamation seed in perfect, rotating detail, every system tagged and evaluated. You are the xenologist? Kalen ventured, his psychic voice small in the hum of the data flow. I am the function that analyzes external biological and technological stimuli, she corrected, finally turning, her nebula eyes fixed on them. And Kalen felt laid bare, every cell, every thought cataloged. You are a stimulus. Your methodology is crude. Your FTL travel creates causal ripples that destabilize stellar nurseries. Your guidance of seeded species injects predatory psychological archetypes that guarantee cyclical self-destruction or militaristic uniformity. It is wasteful. A pane flickered, showing a simulation. A world, not unlike ancient Earth, populated by a gentle, arboreal species. A progenitor seed ship arrived, discreetly introduced genetic nudges towards aggression and tool use. The simulation fast-forwarded. The species discovered warfare, industrialized, exhausted its planet, and died in a nuclear winter within 10,000 years. A footnote appeared. Harvestable biomass, negligible. Technological artifacts, primitive ballistics. Outcome, failure. This was your plan for us. Kalen projected, aghast at the sterile evaluation of what his people considered sacred work. It was your statistical probability, the xenologist stated. Based on your interventions in our Paleolithic era, the so-called Great Leap Forward your archaeologists noted, you introduced a latent capacity for abstract violence and territoriality far beyond what was needed for survival. You were trying to create efficient, self-organizing soldiers or workers. You did not anticipate our other latent capacity, which is, ask the Sensoprime, empathy, not as a weakness, but as a cognitive tool, the ability to model another consciousness so completely that the boundary between self and other blurs. We did not just use it for social bonding. We applied it to animals, to ecosystems, to ideas. We felt the suffering of the forest we cut down. We felt the silence of a species we drove extinct. The psychic pain became intolerable. It forced us to find another way. She gestured, and a new pain showed the history of humanity, not as wars and kings, but as a graph of connected consciousness. The line of individual discrete minds began to blur and merge around the 22nd century, skyrocketing into a phase labeled the Great Weaving. We did not conquer our nature, she said. We fulfilled it. We became one another. Then we became the biosphere. Then the planetary mind. Then more. Your harvest would have been impossible. You cannot reap a field that has become the sky. The xenologist floated closer. But you are not without value. Your biological template is a unique library of failed evolutionary experiments. Your technology, while brutish, uses principles of dimensional folding we had considered theoretically unsound. Your very presence here is a data point on the behavior of predatory, post-scarcity civilizations. You will be studied. The final word hung in the air, colder than the void of space. Studied. You keep speaking of us in the past tense, Kalen protested. We are a living civilization. Our homeworld, our empire, is a series of data points in our deep-range telescopes, the xenologist interrupted. We have watched the light of your world for 500,000 years. We saw the flare of your early wars, the constant, hungry expansion, the signature of your mass-scattering events as you harvested other worlds. And then approximately 127,000 years ago, the signals from your core world changed, became static, repetitive. Then, silence. A star map appeared. A region of space, home to the progenitor empire, glowed a sickly, dim red. Next to it, a timeline. The peak of their civilization coincided with humanity's Bronze Age. Their decline began as Rome fell. Their silence settled as humans walked on their own moon. Your civilization is likely extinct, the xenologist said with no more emotion than a star stating its temperature. You are not the vanguard of a harvest. You are a ghost ship, a relic, the last surviving fragment of a species that chose efficiency over eternity, consumption over connection. You are, in every meaningful sense, already dead. You just haven't stopped moving yet. The psychic shock that rolled through the progenitor party was a tangible wave of despair. Their great voyage, their triumphant return, it was a funeral procession. They were not conquerors. They were fossils. Then, what happens to us? Kalen asked, the fight utterly gone from him. The gardener will return you to the surface, the xenologist said, already turning back to her data streams. Their interview apparently concluded. You will be provided with a small, clean vessel, one that does not scar space-time, loaded with the complete anthropological and historical records of humanity, from cave paintings to the Great Weaving. A gift, a courtesy to a fellow intelligence, however, stunted. And then we go, the Sensoprime asked, hope flickering. The xenologist's nebula eyes flashed. You may go wherever your vessel can take you. But know this, a transcript of this interview, along with your biological and technological signatures, is being broadcast via quantum consciousness channels to the 17 other post-biological civilizations we are in communion with. They are interested in your pattern. Some may wish to help you. Some may wish to study you more directly. Some may see you as a pest to be quarantined. Your journey will now be interesting. The gardener was suddenly, there again, its featureless face a blank slate. Follow. As they were led back through the crystalline lattice, Kalen saw one final hexagon pane. It was a live image of the reclamation seed. Vines of that same graphite gray material were growing over its hull, sinking into its alloys, spreading through its corridors. The ship was being disassembled, not with violence, but with a terrifying organic patience. It was being digested. They were not just ghosts. They were being metabolized. The surface, when they emerged, was a different world. Not physically, but in their perception. The sky was no longer a ceiling, but a lid. The wind was no longer fresh, but the breath of a living, watching entity. The vibrant blue flowers still formed their perfect, mocking circle. In the center of the circle sat a small, sleek vessel. It was shaped like a teardrop, utterly seamless, with no visible engines or ports. It hummed softly, a welcoming sound that felt like a trap. "Your vessel," the gardener stated. "It contains the archives as described. It will respond to your psychic commands. Its range is 100,000 light-years. Its propulsion leaves no scar." Kalen and the dozen remaining members of his landing party stood before it, broken. The weight of the xenologist's verdict pressed on them. "Ghosts. Already dead. Why give us this?" Kalen asked, not looking at the gardener, his eyes on the horizon. "Why not just compost us, as you threatened?" "Composting is for organic waste that can nourish the soil," the gardener replied. "You are not organic waste. You are a pattern of information. A story. Stories are meant to travel. And your story, from now on, will be one of consequence. Every civilization you encounter will have received the broadcast. They will know what you are. They will know what you did. They will know what became of you here. It was the ultimate punishment. They were being released but branded. Their legacy of silent, efficient harvesting was over. They would be infamous. A curiosity, a warning, a potential threat to be managed by powers they could not comprehend. "What is your purpose?" the Sensa Prime asked the gardener, her harmonic voice cracking. "If you are so powerful, why do you stay here? Why garden a single planet?" The gardener's smooth face regarded them. For the first time, its voice held a faint, almost imperceptible trace of something resembling emotion. Not pity, but a profound, timeless loneliness mixed with resolve. "We are not guarding a planet," it said. "We are guarding a process. The process of life becoming aware of itself, not as individuals, but as a unified, sustainable whole. This planet is the first bloom, the prototype. Our purpose is to nurture that process elsewhere, in the silent, dark places of the galaxy. To whisper to sterile worlds, to calm angry stars, to offer a different path to any young, screaming consciousness we find. We do not conquer. We seduce reality into being kinder." It tapped its staff on the ground. The blue flowers began to gently glow. "You represented the old way. The scream. The consumption. You came here expecting terror. You found something worse, irrelevance. And from that irrelevance, we offer you a choice. Fade away as the ghost you are, or carry the story of what you found here. Be the cautionary tale that might prevent another scream somewhere in the dark. That is the only harvest you are fit for now." The progenitors boarded their gift ship. The interior was spacious, comfortable, and utterly alien. A central pillar displayed a star map, highlighting a lonely, quiet star system on the fringe of their old empire, a possible refuge. The archive Eli had promised was accessible, a vast library of human experience, from the terror of a prehistoric night to the sublime joy of a mind merging with a supernova. It was the story of how a species chose to become a universe, instead of owning it. As the ship lifted off, silent and effortless, Kalen looked down. The gardener stood in the circle of flowers, growing smaller. Then, the entire Mongolian steppe for thousands of kilometers shimmered. For a fraction of a second, Kalen saw not grass and rock, but a vast, neural network of golden light, a single conscious entity covering a continent, looking up at them. Then, it was just a plane again. The ship pierced the atmosphere, leaving the beautiful, terrible blue marble behind. On the view screen, the reclamation seed was a skeletal ruin, being peacefully dissolved into the lattice of a growing orbital ring of flowers. Kalen activated the star map. The course was set. The galaxy stretched before them, infinite and cold. But now he knew it was not empty. It was full of listeners. Listeners who now knew their story. Listeners who might be waiting. He opened the human archive. He selected a file at random. It was a sensory recording. The feeling of sunlight on skin, the smell of rain on dry earth, the sound of a child's laughter, and the profound, connective joy of understanding another being completely. He let the experience flood his mind. For the first time, High Archivist Kalen, sower of salt, ghost of a dead empire, wept. He wept not for his lost home, but for the path his people had never seen, the connection they had never valued, the garden they had always mistaken for a field. And his tears, in the silence of the gift ship sailing into the judgment of the stars, were the first true, selfless emotion his species had felt in a million years. It was a small, fragile thing, but in the economy of a universe now watching him, it was a seed. Perhaps, he thought, as the human sunrise warmed his soul through the recording, even ghosts could learn to grow.